This is where I died.
5 affirmative, break, medevac 39.
Because of his injury pattern, I would have given him less than 1% chance.
Growing up in Alamosa, Colorado, my childhood, I did sports a lot. That's kind of it. I mean, I tried to survive the cold because it got really cold. There's a lot of open area over there, so, we'd go out, find what we could do, but really it was just sports. Football, golf, basketball, baseball. I won, I think it was 6 or 7 tournaments in golf. In basketball, senior, captain. And then baseball, I helped lead my team to go to state for the first time, and I think it was like 83 years. I mean, I've always had a windy path of what I was going to do after high school. Was I going to go play sports? Was I going to go get an education? Fully understanding and looking what college I want to go to. One Saturday, we were trying to find something to watch on TV, and a Gator game came on. Seeing their colors, just seeing their logo and everything, I fell in love with them, and so we just made a promise that we would come to UF one day. And then my mom got super sick. And so, I kind of compromised. I'm like, all right, I'll go to Arizona State and be closer to you. Growing up, it was always just me and her. We were homeless a few times, but she made sure that didn't stop me from doing anything I wanted to do. It was just me and her. And we always just made that promise, no matter what, it's just me and you. She went and got her doctorate while being a full-time mom, single mom, and a full-time employee. She was definitely someone to look up to. She was definitely someone to show there's no excuses at all. There's always a way. You have the will, you have a way. She got better, and I just applied to UF again and got in, and everything opened up. The day of my accident, I was hanging out with some of my brothers and came back to my apartment, and we hung out, and I took a nap. I woke up to text from a girl I was talking to saying, come pick me up. And so I got on my Harley Davidson and I was going down University, and a car ran a yellow flickering light, the warning light to turn. He ran that and gave me no time to react at all. I hit the right rear side of his vehicle. The injuries I sustained from my accident were I broke my nose, I broke my jaw, I chipped a few teeth, I slashed my face open with glass. I cut my lip so bad, the left side of my lip could touch my right earlobe. I broke my skull, I had blood in my frontal lobe on both sides of my brain. I broke my C2, which they call the hangman fracture. My third cranial nerve was fully swollen, so I saw double in my right eye 24/7. I broke my sternum, I broke 3 ribs, I collapsed my right lung, and I broke my right ankle. I wasn't bleeding just externally, but internally, and I was choking on my own blood. I was pronounced dead at 1956, November 7th, 2020. I don't remember the crash at all. The only thing I really remember is the experience I had while I was pronounced dead. We all talk about the afterlife, how great it is, what the next phase is going to be. My experience was I was in a room, a 4-wall room. The wall that I was facing, the wall to my right and the wall behind me, I was in a morgue. And my left wall was an open spot to a place that is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Honestly, all I could remember is blue, clear skies and green grass. After that, these people come into the room, and I don't know who they are, but I'm not uncomfortable around them. I'm comfortable. And they ask me, do you want to come with us and make it easy on yourself, or do you want to go back and work really, really hard? And I said, I want to go back and work really hard. And then I guess that's that.
5 affirmative, break, medevac 39, advisory 97 times 39.
When you have these very critically ill, devastated bodies that come in, you kind of kick into a completely different mode where memory doesn't really serve as well. It's more action or even potentially inaction. I remember that he had airway issues because he had already had a surgical airway placed in the field, which usually is not a good thing. That usually means that something bad was happening and that the emergency providers had to go very quickly to establish an airway, because in our world, if you don't have an airway, you die. Because of his injury pattern, having that oxygen was paramount. When patients come in extremis like he did, obviously the stakes are very high. My job as the leader of the trauma team that evening was more to rule out any kind of life-threatening bleeding at that point. He had multiple fractures and he had a pretty bad traumatic brain injury as well. When you start having brain injury, it's very hard to predict how they're going to respond. The brain is a very fascinating organ. It can rebound miraculously or it doesn't. And if you took 100 patients with his type of brain injury, people are going to respond differently. It's unpredictable. Luckily, they were able to get to his traumatic brain injury with a very quick pace, and we started giving him lots and lots of medications to start decreasing the intracranial pressure. There's things that we look at that can quickly tell us if this is going to be a survivable injury or not. The spinal cord injury, though it was broken, wasn't actually truly impinging on the actual spinal cord. If the cord itself isn't damaged, then it's at that point driven by his traumatic brain injury.
I was at home waiting for Gary to get home from my sister's restaurant. He helps her on the weekends. And he got home and I was talking to my sister on the phone and there was a knock on the door. It was a lady from Victims Advocate and a police officer, and she asked me if I knew anybody by the name of Davies. And I said, Benavidez? And she said, can you identify him with a tattoo? And I said, he has a tattoo on his thigh that says dilator. What's wrong with my son? And then she told me that he was in a very horrific motorcycle accident, and they weren't sure if he was going to make it because he had very bad head injuries and that he was on life support. My sister made the plane tickets. I kept telling her, you got to get me to Florida. You got to get me to Florida. Gary, we got to go. We got to go. We left with our purses and our medicine, and that was it. So we got to the hospital, and it was the longest walk down that hallway. I didn't even know where to go. And then I was walking by the nurse's station, and I saw that sign. And I wanted to go to the bed, but I was scared because I didn't know what I was going to come to. When I walked to the bedside I didn't recognize my son. I did not recognize my son. He was hurt so bad. And I just started talking to him, telling him what happened, telling him that we were there and that we were going to leave together. I was there, but I was, I think, in state of shock. The only time I left him was to go take a shower or go get a coffee or something like that. How much did I sleep? Not much. You'll see me laying on the bed, just kind of waiting, hoping.
As a brotherhood, as Pike, when one of our brothers is hurt, their family's involved too, so we're going to care for them. And we were trying to get care packages for them, signing letters from everyone in here, and really, that was the first thought, and then we got in contact with them. It was kind of more of, what do you need from us? What can we do to help you? We know what we're feeling right now, but it's not going to be anything that compared to what they're feeling with their son being in there. So it was kind of just making sure we can do anything to help the family, whether it's bringing them food to the hospital, picking them up, bringing them there, just making sure they were comfortable.
My day would be to just always look at his vital signs. I would look for different signs that maybe he would give me when I would talk to him. when they came and sang for him. Tennessee Whiskey just popped into my head. I don't even know why. It's just like I knew the password to his phone, and I don't even know the password to his phone.
I was still in my coma at the time. The dude started playing the song, and it was the first time I actually moved. Like I balled my hand into a fist, and I moved my legs just from hearing that song.
So I got his hand, and I was rubbing it, and I went to his ear, and I said, Hito, I said, it's Mama. I said, if you can hear me and you know I'm here, squeeze my hand, Hito, squeeze my hand. And he was able to squeeze my hand. And I was so happy. And I said, look, doctor, look, he knows I'm here. It was about the squeezing, but I was so happy because he knew I was there. You know what I mean?
I never knew my mom knew that song at all. So for her to pick that, it's kind of surprising, but it's a special song to me now, for sure.
Tennessee Whiskey.
Coming back from major surgeries like he did is just the initial start of all he had to overcome. The first day I had him as a nurse, being realistic, we see these injuries a lot. I was gonna be surprised if he ever led a normal life again. He couldn't breathe on his own. He was on a ventilator. He couldn't walk on his own. He couldn't open his eyes. I thought it was going to be one of those cases where his mom's going to have to take care of him like the rest of his life.
Because of the brain injuries and the bleeds and stuff, I had to be Matthew's voice. If there was something that I thought he needed, I had to, know to ask. What everybody was worried about is, would he remember me? Would he remember who my sister was, who Gary was? Once the swelling started to come down, I could see my Hito. I could see Matthew. And that gave me hope.
Are you okay?
Yes. It's
How
nice.
you doing, Hito?
It's so emotional.
He's just always been a fighter. The therapist was walking him, and he had made it past the nurse's station, which was farther than he had been. And they're like, do you want to sit down? Are you ready to stop? And he's like, and he walked harder and farther. He's never backed down. If you tell him you can't do it, he's going to prove you wrong.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Typically, it's amazing to see these people get out of the ICU in 2 months. And Matt had made a full recovery almost in 3 months. And so it really blew my mind as a nurse. He defied all of the odds.
ZRK.
For him to have the constellation of injuries that he had, the fact that he had such a meaningful recovery, I would have given him less than 1% chance. He did have incredible support. His parents were at the bedside 24/7. And anything that happened, if he blinked, if he coughed, if he sneezed, his mom knew about it. Every day of every hour, his mom and dad were in there whispering in his ear. And, I got to believe that they hear that kind of stuff. And that helps you pull through.
Let's go.
I did see that it does take a village, or the impacts a single person can have. Just the amount of people that checked up on me, that didn't want, all the details of what happened to me, but just to make sure I'm okay. Coming home to, all these cards that people made for me, brothers in my fraternity checking up on my family, knowing that, hearing those stories, seeing that, it's touching. It's definitely touching. And then seeing Fred, it was the first thing I wanted to do when I got discharged was come see my dog, Fred. I think he's a 90-year-old trapped in a baby hippo's body, but he's been with me for 2 years.
Let's go to bed, Fred.
And I sleep in a king, but he makes it feel like a twin, and I'm more than okay with that. Having a broken sternum, he wasn't allowed to do that for quite a few months, and he was pretty upset about that. But so was I. Before my accident, I was supposed to be an intern at UF Health. I think I just accepted the position a day or two before my accident. I finished what I had left in the fall and did my internship during the summer, and I was actually an intern at 4 West, which is the critical surgical ICU. So that's where I was a patient at. One day I was watching a tracheotomy happen, and this doctor comes in. So I look down to read his badge, and it's Dr. Rosenthal. So I freeze, like all the blood leaves me. All the blood leaves my body, and I go, Dr. Rosenthal?
And I said, whoa, be careful with that one. You know, my father was Dr. Rosenthal. Anybody who calls me Dr. Rosenthal, I'm either in trouble or they don't know who I am. And he goes, my name's Matt. I was like, oh, well, nice to meet you, kid. And he's like, no, my name's Matt. And I was like, huh? He pulls down his shirt and shows me his scar and says, my name's Matt Benavidez, and you saved my life.
Under my mask, I was in such awe that, like, he's real. I can't express how I feel about Dr. Rosenthal. Like, he saved my life, and now I get to, like, walk the same halls as him and be with him and, you know, pick his brain on anything. And I've been in the OR with him a few times now, and it's such a great feeling, and a feeling I can't describe, knowing that I was on the OR table that Dr. Rosenthal worked on me. Now I'm next to the OR table watching him. Since I was conscious enough to know what was going on with me, I knew it's time to fight. From that second, from here on out, that's going to be my motto forever. And so I got it tattooed on me.
What's up?
Good to see you, man.
You too. How you been?
Very good, very good.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
My tattoo artist is Christian Buckingham from Ink Master. We just have a bond for having so many hours together while I'm in the chair.
Oh, dude, you look like Darth Vader.
Kinda. Having tattoos won't change the way I could save a life. My mom and stepdad and my whole family were okay with me getting tattoos as long as they were above the elbow. I came back with a tattoo below, and my mom was a little upset. And I was like, how will this affect how I could save a life? How is having a tattoo below my elbow going to affect how I save a life? I actually had a patient, like, I was helping her, and she's like, my mom thought, like, you were, like, this biker because of all your tattoos in your hair, and you're just, like, a teddy bear. I'm like, yeah, that's literally it. Like, I'm a teddy bear. I had a huge tattoo on my thigh that says, die later. Then underneath my die later, I put, in parentheses, ... again, just so I could use my own advice again if needed.
This is what really great tattooing is about, where it's this... It's emotional, and it's like, yeah, nobody on the street is ever going to look at that tattoo and understand how powerful it is. Yeah. But you and I do, you know what I mean? Like, as an artist, like, I just think it's the most powerful art form there is, because there's this very personal connection with the people that you work on. And you can't get that in any other art form. Yeah. It's the coolest thing in the world. And I think tattoos can be very cathartic and healing for people, you know?
Yeah, he blew my mind. He's unreal. Exceeds my expectations every time. Like, I know he's just amazing, but he still just blows my mind every time. I love it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Christmas.
Absolutely not. Not this one. Save it for the next one. This one's on the house, dude. I'm just happy you're here to get a tattoo. I appreciate it.
It's good to see you, man.
You too.
I got into motorcycling because of my stepdad, Gary. He had a motorcycle, and we talked about it. And my 21st birthday, we went down to Daytona, and it was during bike week or something like that, and ended up with a bike.
The knock on the door late at night, 10:30, just got off work, you know, and they told me that she had been involved in a motorcycle accident. My heart dropped. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to tell your mom. You know, the hardest part for me was for your mom to go through that alone, seeing you, the condition that you were in the first time by herself. Me not being able to be there for you or for her was even worse.
I think what kind of makes it worse is that you ride. So, like,
I ride, yeah.
You know the dangers of riding. Like,
helmets is not a big thing. It is a big thing, but it's not the cool look, you know, and it does save lives, and I'm sure it would have saved your head a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I just learned that day they're supposed to actually wear them, and they're not just for decoration.
Exactly. So
for sure.
Something that has changed my way of thinking when I ride. Because I don't care if I'm going to block, but my helmet's always going to be on.
This is where I died. Like, this is where it happened. This is where I was pronounced dead. Honestly, I pass by this pretty often just for the fact that my fraternity is down out that way, and you know, this is one of the main roads to use to go to other locations. But yeah, right where the crosswalk is, right here on Northwest 15th is like where I was laying. You know, I thought life was going a certain way, and blink of a second, it changed completely. It's definitely powerful knowing that I could very well have just been a memory down that road of someone that died and right then and there, but I pass by it every single day like, no, I get to drive you today. I get to cross you today.
My life is different now before the accident in so many ways, but I came to terms that it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And so I became comfortable with knowing that I'm going to be in class for a while, and if an opportunity comes in any aspect when it came to the medical arena, it would happen.
To see him today back in school at UF, it gives me chills because he is such an inspiration. And when I think about Matt's future, it's just going to be so amazing, and I'm so thankful that I'll get to be a part of it.
Matt is a friend. I know he's someone I can always go to. Drop a finger, he'll be there. He'll always be there for me. He's caring about me. Someone that you kind of look at and you'll know I could be friends with him probably for the rest of my life.
He got his tattoo that says "Embrace the Fight" with 1956 on his knee, so I'm gonna get mine right here.
Have you gotten a tattoo before?
No, and I'm scared of needles. I hate needles. I can give shots, I can do IVs, but I'm gonna bite the bullet.
The most important thing in my life is definitely my mom. Just for the fact that I wake up every day and have a reason to drive, to fight, to be successful. I just can't wait to be a doctor and walk down the aisle to make her proud.
So as we would say, embrace the fight.
Embrace the fight.
Embrace the fight.
Absolutely embrace the fight.
Embrace the fight.
Love you, kid.
I'm now comfortable with what's next. I was okay before, but after seeing what I saw, I'm comfortable. I'm okay.
You know you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey.